Alright, so if you don't know me, I'm a gamer, if you couldn't tell. So obviously, the writing that caught my eye was the one that had video games in the title. So today, I'm going to be discussing Just Van Drunen's chapter titled Watching Other People Play Video Games and Why. Watching people play video games has become one of the biggest entertainment trends of our time. YouTubers like Markiplier, Laserbeam, and Stampy Longhead, and streamers like iShowSpeed, Ninja, and Tfue are all huge or were huge in the gaming sphere.
Hello, this is Stampy.
Was that the bite of 87?
My mom is kind of homeless.
Because if that guy had shockwaves after he railed me like that from behind...
We've seen YouTubers start their careers creating simple gaming videos and have moved on to becoming prominent celebrities, amassing hundreds of millions of followers, or settling down and starting a family. All of this has accumulated into a shift about how we think about media effects. In 2006, Google bought YouTube for $1.65 billion, and in 2014, Amazon bought Twitch for $970 million, beating out Google in the bid. These acquisitions made one thing clear: watching others play games isn't just a niche hobby anymore, it's a massive media industry, the same way that watching sports is. It also showed that watching people play games could be just as profitable and culturally significant as the games themselves. These two platforms turned simple gameplay into entertainment. Just's chapter argues that gaming video content, especially live streaming, challenges traditional media structures and reshapes how audiences interact with entertainment. It's not just about the games anymore, it's about the culture and community around them. That leads to the central question of the reading: what happens when audiences stop just consuming media and start actively participating in it? Younger audiences have abandoned cable TV for modern entertainment online, and because gaming as an entertainment medium has grown significantly over the past 40 years, so has gaming content. Millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha are a key demographic for gaming, and the way that they consume and interact with modern media is similar to older media, but it's transformed so much from what it used to be. Let's take football. I've never been one for football. The closest I got was playing the drums and marching band for football games, but millions of Americans watch football when it's football season. They root for teams, invite friends over, set up snacks, and center their day around a game. Now, let's take a look at gaming. Competitive games will typically have something called esports associated with them, which stands for electronic sports. Real creative. It follows a lot of the foundation that football and other sports media set up before it. The games are streamed, there can be a live audience, but the majority of the audience comes from the people watching at home. However, the biggest difference is that you can interact with the stream. That doesn't mean that you can individually talk to players one-on-one, but it does mean that you can share your thoughts and opinions with others as they do so too. Commentators might even be reading off chat since the players are busy gaming. It gives a layer of interactivity and community to the stream that you don't get with sports. And if we look at things from a much smaller scale with individual streamers, they can interact with their chat. On an older channel that I used to post on, I would stream quite often, and multiple memes emerged in the community that I created from streams alone. These are things that traditional media can't do, and showcases the shift from passive consumption to active engagement. It blurs the line between producer and consumer. Streamers create content and are the face of the stream, but the audience actively shapes it through chat, reactions, and donations. This type of engagement changes how we understand influence, community, and authenticity in digital media. Just uses a qualitative media analysis approach rather than conducting an experiment or survey when writing this chapter. He looked at real-world examples such as Ninja's rise on Twitch,
I'm not seeing enough movement!
EA's marketing strategies for Apex Legends when it first came out, and Riot Games' support for player-made content. Ninja was able to attract millions of viewers back in his prime and bridged the gap between gaming and mainstream culture. Back when I was in middle school, he was large enough to the point where my friends and I would quote him quite often, despite the fact that I'd never actually seen any of his content. Ninja was able to break Twitch records with a stream in March of 2018, where it reached over 600 100,000 congruent viewers, setting a new record for the most watched stream in Twitch history at the time. Other companies like Riot Games actively encouraged players to stream League of Legends to build a community around their content. These examples showcase how streaming affects marketing, culture, and community simultaneously. With this, there were 4 themes that stood out from the research. First, viewers aren't just watching streams, they're participating with comments, donations, and reactions that can shape the direction of the stream. Second, streamers and content creators are the new tastemakers, often getting to try out new games or modes before journalists. Take the new Fortnite season, The Simpsons. Multiple large Fortnite creators like NickA30 got to try out and promote the season before it even launched, and even got to see things for Chapter 7 and the future of Fortnite. That wouldn't have happened with games like 15 to 20 years ago. Third, audiences like authenticity. YouTubers and Twitch streamers who fake their content are not liked. That's why modern Mr. Beast content is often hated online, because while he might be pulling in more views than ever before, a lot of people prefer his older content, where it might have performed worse, but it felt more real and down to earth.
Can I throw my poop?
That's also why iShowSpeed has taken off. His streams, while crazy, still feel down to earth, especially his recent tours in different countries. Fourth, and lastly, corporations are beginning to adapt to content creation. While some are slower than others, Nintendo, most have come around to the fact that content creators are the future of the media world. All 4 of these themes point out to one big idea. Power in media has shifted from institutions to individuals and communities. Let's shift gears and look at the first key passage I'm using for this video, which is actually the very first quote in the chapter. Watching people play games was boring, but now people like to see how people play games. It's content of games, not games per se. This quote captures the cultural shift perfectly. Watching gameplay used to be secondary, but now it can be seen as the main attraction. This connects with the uses and gratifications theory, which looks at why audiences choose certain media. People watch streams for entertainment. They want to laugh, feel connected, and have a good time. In a way, it feels more than just entertainment, like it's social and interactive. The second key passage I'll use says, live streamers bypass this pressure of large corporations and allow consumers to see a game in detail before committing to it. This quote highlights how streaming changed marketing for gaming. Audiences don't solely rely on ads anymore, but instead rely on the help of streamers and creators. It connects to the 2-step flow theory, where opinion leaders filter and interpret media for the masses. In this case, content creators are the opinion leaders. However, many of these streamers are sponsored, so the line between genuine opinion and advertisement can be blurry. So modern audiences aren't immune to media effects, they just happen in new, more personalized ways. So, to conclude, Youst argues that video game content, specifically live streaming, has changed what it means to interact with media. Platforms such as Twitch have blurred the lines between players, viewers, and marketers, and have created a space where entertainment is not only about the content, but also about the community. We've introduced a new medium where, instead of simply watching a video or stream, you can directly interact and participate in them. Watching streamers has become something that shapes people and their behaviors. And it's even shaped how some games are made. Audiences today have the power to shape what media looks like because they've stopped just consuming it and started actively participating in it.